Want to create an awesome website for your restaurant, cafe, bar, or food truck? Then you're in the right place. In this video, we'll show you how to make a restaurant website using WordPress. In fact, we'll show you how to create this exact website here, and how to customize every inch of it to create the exact site you want. A website like this would typically cost $2,000 to $3,000 for an agency to create. In this free WordPress restaurant tutorial, we'll show you how to do it for about $150, step by step, with no coding or web design skills required. So, if that sounds good, then let's get to it. To make things even easier, we've created a free step-by-step guide that you can follow along with on the Oakland blog. We'll add a link to the description and in the info card for this video. Here, you'll find the written steps for this tutorial as well as any links mentioned in this video. As part of the Oakland community, you'll get access to discount hosting and a free domain, as well as a discount for the Divi WordPress theme, one of the most popular WordPress themes on the market. You can find the links to these in the description below, or if you're following along on the Oakland post, you'll find them here. We'll also show you how to access over 100 free entire website layouts, free support, and over 20 hours of detailed video tutorials covering everything you'll need to know. We'll show you how to create your restaurant website using Bluehost as your hosting provider. With the link in the description below and on the Oakland post here, you'll get access to discount hosting, plus a free domain name if you haven't purchased one already. Okay, for this tutorial, we'll show you how to create a homepage or landing page for your restaurant, about, contact, gallery, theme, blog. We'll also show you how to create a reservation or booking form, or link a reservation button or menu item to a restaurant booking site like OpenTable. The restaurant website we'll help you create will use a drag and drop page editor for easy customization, feature UX, UI optimized page designs, be 100% mobile responsive, and SEO friendly. So, without further ado, let's get to step 1, which is preparation. The first thing you'll need to do is to get everything you need ready before you start building your website. These assets will be used throughout your site on every page and will help your whole website look coherent. A logo. Make sure that you have all the variations you need, like a horizontal and vertical version, dark and light version, as well as different sizes so that it fits perfectly wherever you use it. Favicon. This is the logo your website will display in the browser tab. It's usually square, but you can create the illusion of an irregular shape by using an image with a transparent background, like a PNG. Brand color palette. A coherent design always starts with a brand color palette. This usually consists of a main color as well as a few complementary colors. Tools like Paletten.com, Adobe Color, or ColorHex.com can help you pick a color palette. A small budget of $100 to $150. This will fund the cost of your domain, hosting, premium WordPress theme, images if required. If you want to hire a designer to create some of your branding assets, it may be up to $300. We have created an article that details the expenses you will face as you build your website or blog in this article on the Oakland blog. It's also important to have an idea of what the end product will look like before you start building your website. Keeping the end in mind when starting to build your website will help keep you on track and make the whole process that much easier. Start off by creating a sitemap like this, with all the pages, blog categories, and menus you'd like on your website. As you can see, mine will have a home, about, contact, gallery, theme, and blog page that will be accessible from the primary navigation menu. The contact and privacy pages will also be accessible from the footer menu. If you have an idea of the topics you will write about in your blog, you can also list your blog categories. For example, our story, farm to table, and so on. The next step is to sketch out what you'd like your website pages to look like beforehand. For this, I like to use Sketch.io, but you can use any other tool you're comfortable with, or even just a pen and paper. So there's no wrong way to do this, and you can choose to be as rough or vague as you want to be, or as detailed and thorough as you want to be. However, the more effort you put in, and the more detailed you make your planning, the more assured you'll be from the beginning that you have a great design, and the less you'll have to think about it as you're actually building your website. So you'll probably start off with the main navigation bar at the top, or if you've got any other navigation, you can draw that out. Then you'll probably have a logo and your name, something like that. And here you might have various links to pages on your website. And we usually like to have a big header area at the top with a background image, and then once again our website name in big capital letters, like that. And then some more writing underneath it, and some call to action or a button that takes the user to our contact page. And then underneath that, we might have some more information about our brand. Something like that with some information below it. And then an image to the right. So once again, this is just a very rough example of what you could do. And as I said, the more effort you put in, you could maybe add some colors, use the actual fonts you want to use on your website, and use the actual images that you would use on your website to make it as realistic as possible. The most important things to keep in mind while doing this is, does the flow of information make sense? And does it take the user through a process or tell a story? Okay, so that should do it for preparation and planning. Now it's time to get to work on our WordPress website. If you haven't already, the first step is to register your domain, set up your website hosting account, and install WordPress for your website. For this tutorial, we'll show you how to set up your hosting via Bluehost, as we believe it's the best option for beginners. Remember to use the link on the Oakland post here to access a discount for Bluehost. As you can see, they offer free domain registration, SSL certificates, and one-click WordPress installation. To get started, just click the green Get Started button. As you can see, Bluehost has 3 pricing packages: Basic, Plus, and Choice Plus. The biggest difference is that with the Basic plan, you'll only be able to host one website, and you'll be limited in terms of storage space, whereas the Plus and Choice Plus plans are unmetered. So, if you want to host more than one website on one account, you'll have to get one of the Plus or Choice Plus plans, like we do. However, you'll have the 30-day money-back guarantee regardless of which plan you pick. If you want to get your free domain, you can enter it into the new domain field here. Or if you already have a domain, you'll enter it in the I have a domain field. Bluehost supports a number of domain extensions. which you can see in this drop down over here. If you want the domain extension that isn't in this list, you'll have to buy it from another registrar and then put it in the I have a domain name field. You'll then need to do what's called pointing your name servers to Bluehost. Fortunately, we've written an article on how to do this that you can find on the Oakland blog. For this tutorial, we'll register a new domain. So we'll type it into the field here, and then choose the domain extension we want, in this case .com. If the domain is available, it'll tell you so on the next page. If it's not, it'll take you back to choose another domain. Next up, you'll just need to provide some basic information to register your account with Bluehost, like your first name, last name, business name, if you are registering on behalf of a business, country, address, phone number, email address, etc. You'll then need to make sure that you have the right package. Bluehost automatically selects the 36-month package. So if you only want a year, make sure that you change it. You'll also see that they again confirm your domain and your SSL certificate is free. In the package extras field, there are some upsells that you may or may not need depending on your circumstances. We recommend paying extra for domain privacy protection, so your personal details won't be published with your domain online. But we'll untick site lock and code guard. Then you'll see the total price at the bottom. Next, you'll need to provide your credit card details in order to pay for your hosting. The last thing to do is to agree to the terms and conditions, and then you're ready to go. You'll be taken through to this page welcoming you to Bluehost with a set password button. In the meantime, you'll also be sent a WHOIS verification email that you'll use to verify your email. Let's go check that in our inbox first. Here you can see the WHOIS verification email for the domain of your hosting, and you just need to click on the green verify your email button. Give it a moment to load. And as you'll see, you'll be verified. If we then go to the other email that welcomes you to Bluehost with a Get Started button, this will take you through to the login page. However, we don't have a password yet, so we'll need to go set that on the page that we were taken to earlier. So just go back to that tab and click the Set Password button. Just enter any password that you want. Try to keep it secure. As you can see, they provide some guidelines for that. Or you can let Bluehost suggest a secure password for you. Just make sure that you copy this and paste it somewhere. Agree to the terms and then click Next. And you've created your password and can now log into Bluehost. So if you click the button, just let it load a bit. This may take some time because they're going to suggest some themes for us. So yeah, we're already logged into our Bluehost account. And here they suggest some themes that you can pick to start your website with. You don't have to pick one now. And we won't pick one for this tutorial because we'll set this all up later. So we'll just click skip this step. And that's pretty much all the setup you need to do. You might see this notification that your WordPress website won't be hosted on the domain you bought just yet, but they'll automatically update it to your domain when it's ready. So you can go immediately to your WordPress site by clicking Start Building, or first go to your Bluehost account. We'll just open it in a new tab for now, so that we can easily navigate back to the Bluehost account later. This is your WordPress dashboard hosted on Bluehost, and there will be a welcome message from Bluehost as well as a setup wizard. We won't be using this as we'll be setting up our website ourselves. So we'll just click I don't need help, which will take us through to our Bluehost dashboard for WordPress. As you can see, here are some tools that Bluehost provides for free with your WordPress hosting. There's a coming soon widget, some quick access to your blog posts and pages, the app marketplace, some performance settings, and staging settings. Staging is important because it allows you to make a copy of your site that's offline that you can work on. This means that you can leave your live site up without affecting users when you make changes or updates to your site. So you'll come here to do that when it's time. Back on the home page, you'll see the left-hand navigation menu. And if you go to dashboard, this is your actual WordPress dashboard. So there's a bunch of stuff here, mostly related to the extra plugins that Bluehost installs on your behalf. And you'll see this orange coming soon active bar at the top toolbar, which shows users a coming soon page when they go to your website since it's not set up yet. We can also remove some of this clutter from our dashboard by going to the top right hand corner of any of these panels and then clicking the X to remove it. We'll keep the Welcome to WordPress panel as it has some handy links that you'll probably use later on. In the left hand menu, we'll next go to Plugins and then Installed Plugins. So Bluehost installs some plugins on your behalf. And while you can keep them if you feel you'll need them, if you don't, it's best practice to remove them or at least deactivate them, as they can only lead to outdated plugins or security vulnerabilities if you just leave them there but don't use them. They may also impact the performance of your site as they add some unneeded complexity. So we'll just multi-select the WP Forms opt-in monster and Jetpack plugins, as well as the Google Analytics plugin. Then from the bulk actions dropdown, you can just select deactivate and click apply. Okay, so with unnecessary plugins deactivated, let's go back to the dashboard. You'll see that Bluehost's coming soon page is still active. Once you've finished your site and you're ready to send it live for visitors, just go to the Bluehost panel and then click the Launch Your Site button under Coming Soon Active to disable the Coming Soon page. If you want to activate the Coming Soon page again, just go to Caching and Cache Settings and enable it again under Bluehost Coming Soon page. When you're ready for your visitors to see your site again, just go back to the Bluehost panel and then click Launch Your Site once again. Okay, so that's it for WordPress for now. Let's take a look at our Bluehost account. So this is your main dashboard area. You can see your WordPress site here with the URL and the login button. This is your My Sites panel where you can manage your sites individually. Clicking on Manage Site will open up the settings for that specific WordPress website. And you'll see settings like users, performance, security, backups, etc. Under Security is where you'll find your free SSL certificate. Yours might still be unavailable, and this is most likely because Bluehost is still setting up your domain. But this is where you'd come to switch it on once your domain is ready. On the Oakland blog, we've written an article that explains the importance of a SSL certificate for your website, and we provide step-by-step instructions on how to activate your free Bluehost SSL certificate for your WordPress website. Going back to our WordPress site, we'll know our SSL certificate isn't available yet because the domain for our site will load without the HTTPS extension. On the Coming Soon page, you can also click the Admin Login button to log into the backend of your WordPress website. And this is the standard WordPress login page. You can also access this login page or your WordPress website by navigating to your domain name, followed by /wp-admin. From a security standpoint, it's not a good idea to keep using the default admin account that Bluehost provides. So the first thing we'll do is create another admin account that you can use to manage your WordPress website. To do this, we'll go back to our dashboard, and then in the admin menu on the left, we'll go to users, and you can immediately click add new, or go to the all users page and then click the button. You'll need to provide a username and email. I'll just use my name and my email address. You'll use this email address to reset your password, and WordPress will send notifications to this email, so make sure it's one you have access to. You don't need to provide details for the rest, and WordPress will generate a secure password for you, so make sure you copy this and keep it somewhere safe. Also, make sure to change your role to administrator so that you have all the rights and privileges that you need. Then click add new user. We also recommend deleting the old admin user. But to do this, you'll first need to log out. So hover over the admin in the top right hand corner and click on logout. Then we'll log in using our new details. So your email and the password. You can also select Remember Me to have yourself automatically logged in. Then we'll go back to users and delete the admin user. Just confirm it on the next page, delete all content. It might take a while, so just let it load. And you have a new secure admin account to manage your WordPress website. You'll also notice the name of the account that you're logged in with shown in the top right hand corner over here. So here you can see Howdy Hendrik. Okay, so now that we've done our preparation and planning, as well as registered for our domain, hosting, and installed WordPress, it's time to learn about the fundamentals of WordPress before we start building our site. Now that we have an admin account, and before we go on, it's a good idea to cover some of the WordPress fundamentals. So we'll head back to the dashboard. The WordPress dashboard or admin panel is broken down into three main sections. At the top we have the WordPress toolbar, the admin menu is located on the left hand side, and the main admin area is in the middle. We'll give you a brief overview of each section now. However, for a more detailed overview, watch our free How to Use WordPress tutorial, which is an introduction to WordPress for beginners. This is intended to get you up to speed on the fundamentals of WordPress in about an hour. Alright, so the WordPress toolbar at the top is dynamic and adjusts the available options depending on which page you're on. For example, if you're in the back end and you hover over the site name, you'll be able to visit your site from the front end. And if you're in the front end and you hover over your site name, you'll be able to go back to the back end. The admin menu is also divided into three sections. At the top you have the dashboard section that provides easy access to the dashboard, some plugins, as you can see Bluehost here, and updates. Under that it's the content management section, where you can create and manage posts, pages, media items, and comments. The site administration section has mostly to do with the appearance and settings for your site. Under appearance, you can change the theme of your site or access the customizer. Here, you can manage plugins, users, which we've covered, and general settings, some which we'll cover in a bit. Some plugins and themes will also add extra entries to the menu, which you'll see later when we add the Divi plugin. The main dashboard areas where you will be doing most of your work and will look different depending on which page you're on. The screen options drop-down is also on most pages, and if you expand it, you'll see that it gives you extra options and features you can add to the page. Similarly, the Help tab to the right shows you helpful hints for the page that you're currently on, as well as links to relevant documentation. Both of these are also contextual and depend on the page you're working on. There are a few settings I want to show you. Firstly, let's go to Settings and General. If you change the site name here, you'll see it update in the toolbar. You can also change the tagline, update the date and time settings, and more. Again, if you want to learn more about these and other settings, you should check out our How to Use WordPress tutorial. The other important change I want to make is to the permalink structure. The permalink structure determines how the URLs for your posts and pages will look. Sometimes it's set to month and date by default, but it makes much more sense to change this to post name. This will look better to your visitors, and it's better for SEO optimization. It's also best to do this before you create any content, so that your URLs are correct from the beginning. Remember to always save any changes you make to these settings. While you're working on your site, I'll also recommend to go to Reading and check this box that says discourage search engines from indexing your site. This also stops search engines from using your site in search results while you're working on it. Once you're ready to launch your site, you can come back and uncheck this. Save changes. Okay, so let's take a quick first look at our WordPress website. As you can see, not much is going on yet. This is what all new WordPress sites look like. And in the coming sections, I'll show you how to turn it into an attractive site with content and a great looking design. We've covered preparation and planning, registering for hosting, as well as WordPress fundamentals. So now it's time to upload and install our WordPress theme. A WordPress theme is basically a group of files that change the look and feel of your WordPress site with a professionally made design. You can find out more about what a theme is in the What is a WordPress Theme article on the Oakland blog. There are free and premium themes, and premium themes usually have better design quality, extra features, more extensive documentation, and professional support. They usually cost between $50 to $100. On the Oakland blog, we've analyzed hundreds if not thousands of WordPress themes based on speed, design, ease of use, mobile responsiveness, and functionality, which you can access via the WordPress theme reviews category of the Oakland blog. We'll use Divi for this tutorial, which is one of the best premium themes out there and regularly features in a top spot in our reviews. You can access a discount for the Divi theme by following the link in the description below or on the guide on the Oakland blog here. You can either purchase a yearly access to all their themes and plugins, or select their lifetime option, which gives you access to all their themes and plugins for life. We have their lifetime access, however, choose what's right for you. You can always upgrade later on. Once you have chosen your access level, sign up, enter your personal information, select your payment method, review the terms, and complete registration. So, first of all, you'll need to download the Divi theme. Just log into your Divi members area and download the theme from here as a .zip file. So uploading WordPress themes and installing them is also very easy. From the dashboard, you'll just go to Appearance and Themes. Here is where you manage all the WordPress themes added to your site. You can go customize them in the customizer, activate inactive themes, view details about the theme, and delete them over here. You can also add new themes to your site. If you go to the Premium Themes button here, you can purchase themes from the Bluehost theme market. But to upload your own theme, you'll click Upload here, which will also open the WordPress theme repository. These are thousands of free WordPress themes, and you can look for one by filtering the results here or using the search feature. So we'll click on Upload Theme to upload the Divi theme. Choose File. Find the divi.zip file wherever you downloaded it to. Open it and install now. This uploads the entire Divi theme to your WordPress website and installs it, so it can take quite a while. Just wait for it a while. Okay, once this page opens up, the theme will have uploaded successfully and been installed, and you can immediately activate it your site by clicking the Activate link here, or go back and do it on the themes page. Okay, let's immediately take a look at our site. And except for the Divi logo here at the top, there's still not much going on. But we'll fix that in the next few sections. So we'll just go back to the dashboard. Okay, so let's look at what we've done so far. Preparation and planning, registering for a domain, setting up your hosting and installing WordPress, WordPress fundamentals, and uploading and installing a WordPress theme. Now it's time for the fun stuff, customizing your WordPress website. So that you can build out your website and customize it to look the way you want, we'll cover how to upload your logo, favicon, and brand color palette, how to create pages, posts, and categories, how to create and manage menus, how to update your WordPress theme settings, including widgets, how to update your WordPress theme customizer settings, and how to use the Divi Builder. The best place to start when customizing your website is to add your branding elements. Your logo and brand colors will probably be used on every page of your website, and having a favicon in your browser tab will make your site look more professional. They will also identify your site to visitors, so that they know they are at the right place. So after the last Divi update, you no longer change your logo and your favicon at the same place. So we'll need to go to the Divi theme options to change our logo and to the theme customizer to change our favicon. The good news is that this isn't too difficult and that you'll get a quick look at both of these tools before we dig into them deeper later on. So to change our logo, we'll go to Divi and then theme options. There are a lot of options here that mostly change how Divi looks and how it functions throughout your website, but we'll look at them later on. The only thing we're interested in now is the logo and the color picker's default palette. So to upload a logo is very easy. Just go upload. If you have images in your media library, you can just choose them from here. Else you can go to upload files, select files, and choose one from your computer. So let's say we use this alternate version just as an example, but we'll select this one. And you can set an alt text for it, which will be used by search engines so that they know what the image is about, and will be used as a placeholder in case the image doesn't load. So as you can see, ours is dark triangle logo. Then if you're happy, just click Set as Logo. Then the default color palette is a set of colors that you can quickly select when customizing your site. You'll see it later on. But I'm pretty sure we won't use green, so we'll select that and then change it to our brand colors hexadecimal color code, which is 0DD and you'll see the color change here. To keep the changes you make here, you'll need to click the green Save Changes button. And you'll see the green check mark when it's done. To change the favicon, we'll need to go to the theme customizer. So we can either select it here under Divi or go to appearance and then customize. I'll just click this one. Okay, so this is the theme customizer. Oh, you can already see our logo here. This is the theme customizer where you'll mostly be able to make changes to the styling settings of your theme throughout your website. So to change our favicon, we'll need to go to General Settings and site identity. And then this site icon is actually the favicon. So it's a bit cryptic, but you can just change it here by clicking select image. Then this time we'll just choose it from our media library. And our alt text will keep as dark favicon. Click select. You can crop it, but we'll just keep cropping. And then any changes you make in the theme customizer, you'll need to hit publish in order to commit them. So click publish. And then you can close the theme customizer over here. And you should already see your favicon. So if we visit our site, you'll see our logo up here. Unfortunately, our brand colors aren't used anywhere yet, so you won't get to see them just yet. But if you look at the browser tab, you should see your favicon, and your logo is here in your main navigation menu. Okay, so the first thing you'll probably want to do when building out your site is to create some pages. So we'll head back to the dashboard. And then to create or manage your pages, you'll go to the pages in the left-hand menu. You can either add a page from here or go to all pages first, where you might see that WordPress has created some default pages for you. These are usually sample page and privacy policy page. We'll go ahead and delete this. So to show you how, you could either trash them here under the quick edit settings, or you can multi-select them. From the bulk actions dropdown, select move to trash and apply. And then to make sure they're gone, you can go to trash, bulk select them again, and delete permanently. Okay, so let's go back to our sitemap. And as you can see, I want to create 7 pages in total. Home, gallery, about, theme, contact, blog, and a privacy page. So just refer to your sitemap and then we can go create our pages. And then I'll click the add new button here to create a new page. The first page I'll create will be my home page. So you'll add your title here. Okay, so you can straight away use the Divi Builder, but I just quickly want to show you what the default page editor looks like. So we'll click Use Default Editor. If you've used WordPress before and this looks completely different, then don't worry. It's just the latest Gutenberg update that modernized the interface a bit. The biggest change is that pages now work by adding what's called content blocks. So you'll add a block which is either a piece of text, which you can just start typing, or you can add content blocks that are images, headers, quotes, lists, galleries, etc. and it build out your page like that. On the right hand side, you'll have a bunch of page options and settings. If you don't want to publish your page live so that visitors can see it, but you want to keep working on it, then you'll save it as a draft here. If you are ready for visitors to see your page, then you'd publish it and it'll go live on your website. And you can preview pages here. As you can see, not much going on yet. Then there are a lot of other important settings here, but we recommend that you watch our WordPress for Beginners tutorial if you want a more in-depth explanation of them. The only ones I want to show you here are the Divi specific settings. So under Divi page settings, we'll keep the right sidebar as this is the standard when it comes to websites. And we'll keep height nav scroll to default so that it follows our global theme settings. So to use the Divi Builder, we can just click this button here. The Divi Builder has also undergone some major changes to keep pace with the WordPress changes. But for now, I just want to show you how you can use the Divi layouts to give your pages a design and some default content to get started with. So to do that, we'll click Edit with the Divi Builder, which will launch the front-end Divi Builder. Okay, so here you have three options to build your page. You can either build it from scratch, where you start with a clean slate and you build it section by section. You can choose a pre-made layout from the free Divi Layouts collection to start you off with a great design, which is what we'll do. Or you can clone a page you've already created using Divi, the Divi Builder, and continue editing it on a new page. So we'll say choose a pre-made layout. That will open the free Divi layout pack library. And from here, you can either search for your layout pack, you can filter it by category over here, or you can search for it here, like that. If you select a page from a layout pack, that will open up this page where it will show the related pages from that layout pack. So here you can see we chose the home page, but they show us the about, blog, contact, gallery, etc. So you can view a live demo here, which will take you through to the demo page. And you can preview it. So that looks good to us. So we'll go back and say, use this layout. Then just give it a while to import. This may take some time because it's importing all the images and demo content as well. Almost there. Okay. So once that's done, it will reload. And then you can see it imported all the demo content, and we can start customizing this, which I'll show you in a bit. But yeah, you're starting off at a great starting point, and you can customize this until it looks exactly the way you want. So when you're done making changes to a page using the Divi Builder, you can either save it as a draft, which works the same way as in the backend editor, where the changes won't be live on your website, but they will be saved to work on later. But we're happy, so we can jump straight ahead to publishing it. Okay, and then once it's done, you can click the Exit Visual Builder, which will take you to the preview of the page, or what it would look like to visitors. So here we can see. Okay, and you can go back to the backend editor by clicking Edit Page over here. Okay, so I'll just show you another one. So we'll go to New Page. Let's create our gallery page. Use Divi Builder. Choose a pre-made layout. The restaurant pack, and this time we want the gallery page. We won't demo this one, so use this layout. Once again, just give it a moment to finish. Let it load the new content, and we'll also go right ahead and publish this one. And then go back to the backend. And just so that you're aware, this title we give our pages here, as you can see in the permalink structure, It's used as the URL for this page because we selected use post name, or in this case page title, as the URL. And as you can see, this is a much more logical way to create navigation for your website. So we'll go on and create the rest of our pages. I'm going to skip ahead and use my sitemap as a guide, and you can go ahead and do the same thing. Okay, so as you can see, I've created all my pages in my sitemap, and hopefully you've done the same. So the next thing we have to do is to make sure that the home page is the first page visitors see when they come to our website. And to do that, you have to go to Settings and Reading. Then from this Your Homepage Displays, you'll see that it's set to Your Latest Posts. So this means that by default, your homepage will be like a blog category page with all of your blog posts displayed in chronological order. If you want to set another page as your homepage, like our homepage for instance, you should select a static page, and then from the homepage, select the home and then save changes. And now if we visit our site, we should see the new homepage that we created. Okay, so since we just created all our pages, now would be a good time to show you how to use the Divi Builder to customize them. So we'll go to all our pages. We'll go to the home page, and you can just go straight to Edit with Divi by clicking this pop-up link over here. Okay, so this is Divi's best feature, the Divi Builder. It's an intuitive drag and drop page builder, and it allows you to very easily customize almost every aspect of your web page. We won't cover everything in this tutorial, but if there's anything that we're going to show you that you want to know more about, or there's something that you're interested in that we haven't showed you, then go to the Divi documentation from the link in the article on the Oakland blog here. Then head over to the Divi Builder section, and here you'll find hours and hours of free video tutorials as well as the explanation of every aspect of the Divi Builder. Okay, so the best way to understand how the Divi Builder works is to think of your pages in terms of sections, rows and columns, and modules. So sections are either purple or blue, and they organize your pages in big blocks of related content. So you can have multiple rows, columns, and modules in one section. Rows and columns are pretty obvious. So they divide an area into a certain number of rows and columns. And then you have modules, which are the actual content on your pages, like a piece of text or an image or a video or even a widget. And they are in gray. So a handy feature of the Divi Builder is that if you've got text somewhere, you can simply double click it or just click on it somewhere and start editing it. So we'll start off by changing this to our website name, something like Oakland Stable, just like that. For sections, rows and columns or modules, you can also change their settings in the toolbar over here. So you can drag and drop them using this icon. You can go into their settings over here. You can duplicate them clicking here and delete them clicking here. And you can also save entire sections to your Divi library and then import them on your pages by clicking this icon over here. So inside the settings, it looks very similar for sections, rows and columns or modules, but there are a few different options depending on what exactly it is you're editing. So it's divided into three main tabs. The content tab has to do with the actual content. So this is where you would add a background or an image or edit the text in your module, and so on. Then the design tab is where you would change the styling of that section or row or module, such as changing the font, the colors, the sizing, the spacing, or even adding a box shadow or an animation. And then the advanced tab is where you can add some custom CSS or give your sections or modules CSS ID. Okay, so for example, I also want to increase the size of this heading a bit. So I'll open the settings and I'll go to design. And this is the title, so title text. And the Divi Builder helpfully organizes headings under H1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So since this is a H1, we can change its design under the H1 tab. And I want to increase the size a bit, so I'll go to like 80. Yeah, okay. And what I also like to do is I like to make my full width headers the entire size of the viewfinder so that it fills up the whole page when the visitor lands on your page. So to do that, we can go into spacing, and I'll do it by adding some padding at the top and bottom. So here you can go, I'll make it 10 VW, and also the bottom 10 VW. Okay, and whenever you make changes, remember to save them by clicking the green check icon over here. Just give it a moment, it'll correct now. Yeah, okay, so yeah, that looks good. We have a nice big full screen header over here. Other things you can do are you can change the row and column structures. For example, we can click this icon over here, and then we can make it a 3-column row instead of a 2-column row. And you can see we can now add some text over here or whatever other module you want to add. So we'll just change this back to a 2-column row. And this is a particularly handy function when you've got a blurb-like structure or some kind of multi-row and column structure like this. What's also very handy in this instance is the ability to duplicate rows, because you can just duplicate it and then you can change the content of each block without having to go recreate your rows from scratch. So we'll just delete this one. Okay, so what I also want to show you is how to create a new section, which you'll just find this blue plus icon over here. That one's a bit obscured, but it looks like this. Then when you click it, sorry, it's just this thing is in the way, so just click plus and then a regular section. And you can immediately pick a row and column layout. I want a 2-column layout, so I'll pick this one over here. And then you'll also immediately be asked to insert the module into the first column. So in this case, I first want a text module, so I'll add it. And I'll just make this something like "We can't wait to serve you." And in this little text editor, you can style your text as usual. I want to make this a H2. And then to make it consistent with the rest of the text on our page, go over to design, heading text. So this time we're editing a H2, so we'll go to the H2 tab and change it to Playfair. And I actually just also want to increase the size a bit. Okay, so something that's also very handy is if you want to revert any particular setting back to default, you can just click this little undo icon here next to it, and it will set it back to the default setting. But I want to keep this at 30. Another useful setting is this mobile display icon over here. So when you click it, you can change that particular setting for different devices. So for desktop, this title can be 30 pixels, but for tablet, I can make it maybe 20 like that. And then for phone, I can make it even smaller. Let's say 15. Yeah. So that'll help you keep your design looking good on different devices and not just try and style it on one to suit as a one shoe fits all kind of approach. Okay. Then I'll add another module over here, another text module, and you could put anything you want here, but I'll just keep the dummy text. But under design, I want to make it look like the rest of the text on our page. So I'll go to the text color. Let's first see what color is this. It's Montserrat, and the color is #939393. So going to the settings, design, text. I also want to increase the size just a bit. Maybe 17 look good. And we can change the color to #939393. Okay, that looks better. It's looking a bit bland, so we can also spice up design just a bit by adding a divider, which you can find over here. Okay. And once again, I want to keep our style consistent, so I want to use the same color as our buttons, this kind of goldish brown color. So button, background color, setting. I'll just copy this. Okay, so then we can go to our divider and the design and the color, paste the color in here, and we'll also make it a bit thicker, maybe 3 like that, and we can also reduce the width a bit. Okay, like that looks good. Okay, so now what I want to show you is how you can add something like a open table widget to your page. This will be very handy to secure reservations because using the open table backend, you can just add a small widget to your website and it'll take users through a process to book a table. So obviously you'll need to go create the open table account, but we'll just show you how to add the widget to your pages so that you can go ahead and do that later on. So for example, OpenTable will give you some code to copy. So you'll just click something like copy code. And the same goes for pretty much any other third-party widget or code that you want to add to your website. In the Divi Builder, you'll then go and add a code module, code. And this is what a Divi Builder code editor looks like. So you'll just paste the code in here like that and then save it. So you won't see anything yet, and that's because the script only loads when you actually open the page. So I'll show you how that looks in a bit. Just as a final thing to show you how to add a background image, you can go into the section settings and background, and then under background you can either add a color, a gradient, which is like a two-tone color that fades the one color into the other, an image, or even a video. So we'll add an image, and I'll just pick one from our media library, maybe. Which one looks good? Maybe this one over here. Yep, like that. Okay. So as always, when you've made changes using the Divi Builder and you're happy with it, just click this purple icon and then save your changes. If it was your first time building on this page or you haven't published it yet, you'd also have to publish it to make the changes live. And then you can exit the visual builder to see what it looks like. Okay, so we've got our nice big header section over here. And at the bottom, here's the section we've created. And here's our open table widget. So this is what it will look like. And as you can see, we haven't registered an account yet, so you can't go all the way through. But that's basically how it works. And as you can see, it's really easy. So yeah, you can easily set up reservations for your website. So that was just a very quick introduction to the Divi Builder. There is way more to get into, but you shouldn't be intimidated because it's actually a very fun tool that's very easy to use once you're used to it, and that can make you look like a design genius in no time. So if you want to learn more about anything, or you want to learn more about anything that we covered just now, just go over to the Divi documentation. You can find the link on the Oakland post over here and go through to the Divi Builder section and look through the hours of video tutorials as well as tutorials in the documentation itself. And you'll get used to just about any feature of the Divi Builder. Okay, so the next thing we'll do is to create our blog, as well as our categories and individual blog posts that will go on our website. So we'll go back to our dashboard. And you can manage your posts the same way as pages by clicking on the option in the left-hand menu. But the most obvious place to start is the categories, which we'll organize our posts under. So we'll go to categories first. Okay, so this is how you add a new category. I'll just refer back to my sitemap, and we'll have the categories our story, farm to table, and gastronomy with Italian and Spanish underneath that. So we'll start with our story. Slug is just a URL-friendly version of your category name, which means if you have any special characters that aren't usually allowed in a URL, then the slug will be your URL without those special characters. Our story will be a top-level category, so we won't select a parent, and you can also provide an optional description. Then just click Add New Category. And you can go through and create whichever categories you want in the same way. So I'll just go on farm to table and gastronomy. And to create the subcategory, you just enter the name again. So this time, Italian. And then from the parent category, you select which one you want this category to fall underneath. So in this time, it's gastronomy. And if you click Add New Category, you'll see Italian will be created with this line that indicates that it's a subcategory. If we were to create a subcategory, there would be two lines next to it. So I'll just finish up my categories by adding Spanish. Also select gastronomy and then add new category. Okay, so as you can see here, you can go and edit your categories. You can change the name and description and URL. You can delete it. You can view the category page, which will show the posts that fall underneath that category. And you might recognize this uncategorized category over here. And you can't delete it because this is the default category that all posts will fall under if you don't assign them to a category. Okay, so now that we've got our categories and our blog structure, let's go create some posts. So to create a post, you can either go to All Posts and then click the button here, or click New in the toolbar and select Post. or click Add New in the left-hand menu. And you'll see that it works almost exactly the same way as a page does. So we might call this one something like that. And just like pages, you can also either create your page using the Divi Builder or use the default editor that works exactly the same way as for pages. So you can type something here. Just something random like that. And there will be a lot of the same settings here as for pages. And once again, if you want to know more about any of these, then watch our How to Use WordPress for Beginners video. But one thing I want to show you is how to add your post under a category. So how you would do that is you just select a category from the list over here. So in this case, it would be Italian. And now our post will show up if we go to our Italian category page. You can also select multiple categories so that it will show up for those various category pages. Tags can just be used to help users search for posts on your blog. And another important thing for a blog post is a featured image. So a featured image will show at the top of the blog post, and it will also show on the little blurb for that post on a category page. So just to show you what I mean, we'll add a featured image. Let's say anyone will do. Let's take this one. And also, just like pages, you can change the sidebar layout over here, and you can save it as a draft, or you can publish it and it will be live on your website. So we'll just wait for it to finish saving. And then publish it, publish. And if we view our post, you'll see the featured image is at the top, and the bit of text we added will be right below it. So if we go to our blog, you'll see our post show here, and it will also show the category it's under. So if we click on Italian over here, it'll take us to our Italian category page, and you can see here is the link to our blog post we just created. Okay, so that's how you create blog posts and how you organize them under categories. But one important thing you should do to just make sure everything functions as you want is go to your settings and reading. And just like we did for the home page, make sure that you select the blog page that you created with the Divi layout pack as the default blog page for your website. So to do that, you'll just say your post page and you'll select blog over here. And now the blog page that we created earlier will be used as the default page to list posts on your website. Okay, so if you can create pages and posts, then you've already gotten a handle on creating content for your website. And the next thing to do is to make that content more accessible by creating menus. So to create a menu, you'll just go to Appearance and then Menus over here. So this is where you create menus for your website. If you haven't created a menu yet, then you'll see that WordPress, I'll just visit our site. WordPress automatically uses this menu that every single page or category that you create will automatically be added to the menu at the top. So obviously we don't want that. We want more control over what shows in our main navigation menu. So to do that, we'll have to create a new menu, and you can click here. We'll call this main navigation. Click create menu. And here in the menu settings, you can choose what kind of menu it is. So you can activate the secondary menu in the theme customizer later on. A footer menu shows at the bottom of the page, and the primary menu is this menu you see here at the top. So we want to create the primary menu, and we also don't want to tick this option because we don't want it to automatically create menu items for us. Okay, so how you add menu items to your menu is here on the left hand side, you'll see there is pages, posts, custom links, and categories. Just to make sure everything is available to us, I just want to show you the screen options. So the screen options tab here at the top, it will have a bunch of options, and you can tick these to add them to the available menu items. So we want to be able to add custom links, categories, and you can add any of the others like formats or projects, but you don't usually do that. But what we also want to do is we want to be able to set the link target for our menu items, which means that we can decide whether it follows a link outside of our website to a new tab, or whether it just opens it up in the same tab. And we also want to activate CSS classes so that we can take advantage of Divi's built-in mega menu. Okay, so to add items to our menu, you just select them over here. We want to add home, blog, theme, contact, about, and gallery, and then we'll click add to menu. And you'll see they are shown over here. And then it's very easy to rearrange them. You can just drag and drop them. To show you, for example, if you want to have sub items, you can just select the item, click add to menu, and then you can drag it underneath an item, and it'll be a sub item of that menu. So if we save this, and we go to our home page and refresh it, you'll see that it now only has the items that we added to the main navigation menu, and that underneath our blog there will be a Italian sub-menu item. Okay, so another thing we can do is, if you see at the moment, if we click contact, it'll take us through to the actual contact page that we created earlier. Now, in some instances, you may want to make this menu item link to a contact section on that same page or to any other section. So how you'll do that is we'll go back, and this contact menu item, we'll remove it and we'll add a custom link. So a custom link you can use to link to anything. You can even link to outside website pages or your Facebook profile. But what we want to do is we want to link to our contact section. So we'll say hashtag, we'll just call it that for now. And we'll make the link tag text contact, add to menu. So then what we have to do to make this work is let's just go to our home page. And enable the visual builder. And we'll scroll down to the contact section. So we want to jump to this section when someone clicks contact in the menu. So we'll go into the settings, and under advanced CSS ID, here we'll give this section a unique identifier, which is the same as the link we used over here. The only difference is that the menu link just needs a hashtag in front. And what that will do is that will link this contact menu item to the section. And then we'll save our page. We'll also save our menu. And if we now go back to our home page, and we click the contact link, you'll see it takes us down to that section. So this is also how one-page websites are created, where you can click on any menu item and it just takes you down to that section. Okay, so now if you want an attractive mega menu for your website, what you can do is we'll also add Spanish, and we'll also drag it underneath our blog. And then you open our blog, and in CSS classes, you just type mega-menu. And we save it once again. And if we go back to our home page and refresh, you'll now see that underneath our blog, instead of just a basic drop-down list, it's now this big mega menu. And this can look better with some extra styling and some more items, but that's basically how you create a mega menu using Divi. Okay, so the final thing I want to show you when it comes to menus is how to make use of the link target function to link to pages in a new tab. So how you'll do that is you'll add a custom link. In this case, we'll link to the Oakland Facebook page. Facebook. And the reason why you sometimes want to open a link in a new tab is because when you link to an outside web page, you don't necessarily want users to navigate away from your website. To open up a link in a new tab, you just check this box over here and save menu. And if we go to our front end and refresh, you'll see if we click on Facebook, it'll open it up in a new tab instead of navigating away from our website. Okay, so you can also create a footer menu, which will show at the bottom of the page here in pretty much the same way. So I'll just select the pre-existing footer navigation, but you can also create one just like we did the main navigation menu. And then as per my sitemap, I'll just add the contact and privacy links to it. Save it. Okay, and if we go to the front end and refresh our page, then you'll see we have this little footer menu at the bottom. So yeah, that's basically all you need to know about menus. And now you should be able to go and create the navigation for your website. Again, if you want to learn more about any of this, watch our WordPress for Beginners tutorial. Or check out the Divi documentation, which will also cover more on their mega menus and styling. Okay, so now it's time to make changes to the Divi theme to change the look and feel of our website. One of the main areas where you do this is the Divi theme options, where we changed our logo and our brand color earlier. You can navigate to the Divi theme options by hovering over Divi in the left-hand menu and selecting theme options. The Divi theme options is where you control a lot of aspects of your site, such as the navigation, default page or post layouts, managing social media links on your site, or even integrations and third-party APIs. So we'll just go over the most important ones. There are too many options here to cover for this tutorial, so we recommend that you head over to the Divi documentation, where they go into every aspect of the Divi theme options in great detail, and you'll be able to learn to use anything that you see here. So first of all, we already changed our logo. The fixed navigation bar is the sticky menu at the top of your pages, and disabling it will disable the sticky menu. Enabling it will make sure your menu is always visible. The next important ones are your Google API key. So this is what you'd use to activate Google Maps on your website. We already have our Google API key, but you'll need to go over to Google and log into your account to set up your own API key. Then you'd paste it in here. And whenever you make changes, you'll have to save them. Okay, so underneath that is where you can enable or disable certain social media icons on your site. You'll see that the options by Elegant Themes are quite limited, and that's why we recommend using Font Awesome, because they support way more social media icons. And on the Oakland blog here, you can follow the link to view a tutorial on how to do this. Okay, so to use Divi's social media icons, you'd enable the ones you want to use here, and then you'd paste in the link to your social media pages. So we'll paste in our Facebook link here, and the Facebook link should now work on our site. Okay. Here are some more options that you can look through in the Divi documentation. And also, if there's anything you're wondering about, you can click on this little tooltip here, and it'll give you a short explanation. So you can use this and the Divi documentation to learn how to use all of these settings. At the bottom, you can use this field here to add custom CSS to your website, to add your own styling or options that aren't available in Divi itself. Okay, so the next tab is navigation. And here you can toggle the visibility for pages or categories within your menus. You can enable or disable drop-down menus. The display home link in your navigation menu. Pretty much the same settings for categories. And then general settings also just has to do with how your menu functions. In the Builder tab, as you can see here, you can enable or disable the builder for post pages or projects. We want to use the builder, so we'll keep it enabled. Some advanced options. Under layout, so single post layout, these are your actual blog posts. So the settings you change here will affect how your blog posts work. So as you can see, you usually have a bit of info whenever you write a blog post that displays in the listing or on the post itself. And these are usually the author, the date, the category that the blog post is in, and comments. So you can enable or disable these here. And you can also enable comments on your posts. Usually you want visitors to comment on your post, so we'll keep this enabled. And here's for single page layout. So these would be your home page, about page, contact page, and so on. Usually you don't let visitors comment on your pages, so we'll leave this disabled. And then the same general settings, post info section. So this would apply to your blog category pages where your blog posts are listed and not the blog posts themselves. Ads, as the name suggests, this is where you make changes to how ads display on your website and which type of ads you allow. So Divi has some settings for SEO, but we recommend using an SEO specific plugin. We like using Yoast SEO, and it's one of the best free SEO plugins you can find. In the integrations panel is where you can add custom code to your website, such as your Facebook pixel, Google Analytics, or any other type of code. And you can divide it in these boxes in your head section, your body section, or at certain points within posts or pages. The last tab we have is updates, and this is where you can add your Elegant Themes username and API key to authenticate your Divi installation and enable yourself to get the latest updates from Elegant Themes. Once again, if you want to learn more about these settings, then check out the Divi documentation for theme options. We've provided a link to it in the article accompanying this video. Okay, so the next thing I'd quickly like to show you is how you can add widgets to your website. So you can access widgets by going to Appearance and then Widgets. So widgets are modules that can add a little bit of extra functionality to your website. And example of a widget is like a calendar or an audio player, or even just something that gives users quick access to different pages or categories. Widgets come in what we call widget-enabled areas. And if you use Divi, you'll see that you have all these pre-created widget-enabled areas. So if we visit our website, the sidebar widget-enabled area, just go to our blog, because we have a sidebar here. This would be the sidebar widget enabled area. And here at the bottom in the footer, you'd have various footer widget enabled areas. Okay, so it's very simple to use widgets. In this example, I'll just add a calendar. So the only thing you do is you click on calendar, you check the area that you want to add it to, and you say add widget. And you can give it a name. So let's say calendar 2019, save it, and then if we go back and refresh, you'll see that we now have this calendar widget on our sidebar. And the same goes for the footer. You can just, which one shall we add? Let's add categories. So maybe if we want the user to be quickly able to navigate to a category, and we'll just say, yeah, check out the blog, it's actually a good one. Display as dropdown, why not? And then save it. And if we go back and refresh, we'll have this category widget at the bottom of our page. And in the same way, it's very simple to delete a widget. You just click delete over here. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to learn about widgets. Divi adds some extra widgets, so you might want to check those out in the documentation if you want to use some of them. And you can also learn more about widgets by watching our How to Use WordPress for Beginners tutorial. Okay, so last but not least, I'm going to show you how to use the theme customizer to customize your website. So you can either go to the theme customizer under Appearance and then click on Customize, or by going to Divi and then Theme Customizer. The theme customizer is where you make global changes to the styling options for your website. As you can see, there is a preview of your website on the right, and all the settings are on the left. Again, there are too many settings here to go into each in detail, but we'll show you the most important ones, and from there you can use Divi's customizer documentation to learn about any other setting and to get comfortable using the customizer. Okay, so what do we mean when we say that the customizer makes changes to the global styling settings of your website? Well, it means that if you change an option here, it will apply it to every page on your website. And then you can go to a specific page and change the styling options there so that that page looks different from the others. So to show you exactly how that works, if we right click our heading over here and say inspect, we can see that the font family used is Playfair. If I go to general settings, typography, and then try to change this headers font over here, just gonna scroll down, you'll see that nothing happens. And if you recall, we changed this headers font. And the reason why that is because this headers font is set to Playfair on the actual page in the Divi Customizer. So to show you, if we go to our home page and we enable the Visual Builder, I'm going to the settings, design, title text. See, here it is set to Playfair. So because the font is set at the page level, it overrides whatever setting you have got here. I'll just set this back to default. Okay, so now that we've got that covered, let's look at some of the most important settings that you can change in the customizer. So under general settings and site identity is where you can change your favicon, which we did earlier. You can change your site title and also the tagline. Under layout settings, you can just make some changes to the overall layout of your pages. So for example, we can enable this box layout with the margins at the side. You can adjust your content width. And an important thing about the customizer is that if you change something and you can't remember what the original value was, you can just click this circle icon over here to return it to the default. You can also adjust your sidebar width and you can change your theme accent color. We'll set this to our brand color as this is something that's used in random places throughout your website. Then under typography, you can change the styling for text throughout your website. So body text will be your normal size text, and then header text will be your H1, H2, H3s, and so on. So you can change the size, the letter spacing, the style, and you can also change the fonts themselves. And we'll also change the body link color to our brand color. So this will just change the color of any link anchor text on your pages. And we'll leave these as is. Then here you can set a background color or image. Usually using Divi layout packs, the background isn't visible, but you might want to double check just in case. And you can also set it to some kind of neutral background color if there happens to be some background visible. Okay, then in header navigation is where you can change this main navigation menu at the top. And under header format is where you can change the header style. So you can make it centered or centered in line. Or you can even pick a slide-in menu that slides in from the right. Or a full screen menu when you click on the menu icon, it opens up a full screen menu. We'll just change that back to default. And you can also enable vertical navigation. So you have this top to bottom menu. Or you can even hide your menu so that it's only visible once you scroll down, and then you'll see the sticky menu show. Let me just uncheck that. Okay, so then in the primary menu bar is where you can make settings to this main menu area over here. So you can make it full width and you'll see our logo and menu move out to the sides. You can hide your logo image if you want to. You can adjust the height, the font, and once again, we'll set these to our brand color over here. So the active link is your active link is the link of the page you're currently on. So since we're on home is our active link, and you can see we just changed it to our brand color. And this drop-down menu line color refers to this menu between the main navigation menu and the drop-down or the mega menu. And you can see why it's so handy to change your brand color palette beforehand in the theme options, because now we can just pick it from the color picker instead of entering the hexadecimal color code every single time. So the secondary menu is located here above your main navigation menu, but you have to go create a secondary menu in order to see it. And so to be thorough, we'll just change this to our brand color, but it doesn't really matter since we don't have it over here. And the fixed navigation refers to the sticky menu. So you can also hide the logo and adjust the height. Again, we'll just change the background color to be safe and the menu link color. And under header elements, this is where you can show or hide your social icons. You can show or hide the search icon. And if you've got a secondary menu or a place to put it, you can also enter your phone number or email, which is a popular practice with secondary menus at the top. So the last one we'll really look at is your footer menu. But actually, we want to recommend that if you want to style a footer for your website, that instead of doing it yourself, you make use of the free footer layout packs that Divi provides. You can find a link to it on the Oakland Post over here. And these are already professionally designed footer layouts that all look fantastic. And footers can be a bit tricky because you have to work with widgets and different footer layouts. So it's much easier and much quicker to just use one of their layout packs. But as you can see back here in the customizer, you can change the column layout for your footer. You can change the background color. You can show the social icons, just like the main navigation menu, and change the footer menu option. So we could set this also to our brand color, the active link. So yeah, and then the bottom bar refers to this one right at the bottom. And you can even change this text over here. So that's the most important settings we want to show you in the theme customizer. So for example, you could change it to something like that. A little signature, and yeah, so that's basically the footer, and that's basically also it for the theme customizer. Other handy things to know is that you can view a tablet-sized view or a mobile view while you're making these changes so that you can be sure everything looks great. And as we always say, if you want to learn more about any of the Divi settings, then you should check out the documentation. There's a link on the post on the Oakland blog over here. And you can go to the theme customizer specific section over here. And that should help you get comfortable or get to know all the options that are available to you so that you can take full advantage of the theme customizer. As always, when you're done, publish or save your changes. And you can exit the theme customizer by clicking the X over here. Okay, and that's it for customizing your WordPress website. When you have your website looking the way you want and you're ready to launch, there's a few best practices that you should follow to ensure you get the best results. If you want your website to be searchable via search engines like Google, the first thing is to ensure that your WordPress settings aren't blocking search engines from indexing your website. To check this, Hover over Settings in the admin panel and then click on Reading. Okay, we'll scroll down to the Search Engine Visibility section and ensure that the box is unchecked so that Google can crawl and index your website. You should keep this box checked while you're still working on your site, like we have, but uncheck it once you're ready to go live. Once you've done that, we also recommend watching our step-by-step video on how to add your website to Google search. This will help make your website discoverable via search engines like Google. We would also recommend installing Google Analytics on your website. Fortunately, we've created this free step-by-step video on how to do this as well. Using the Divi theme, you can add the required tracking code within the Divi theme options tab, under integrations. We cover how to do this in the video. And that's it for our tutorial on how to make a restaurant website using WordPress. If you liked this video, hit the like button and remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos related to WordPress, digital marketing, and how to run a successful website. Your feedback is appreciated, so please leave a comment below and tell us what you liked, or if there was anything you found difficult, so that we can put together additional videos to help support you as you build out your site. To get access to exclusive discounts, free tutorials, and to stay in the loop on the latest updates, sign up to our newsletter at ohklyn.com. And until next time, happy building!